Howdy folks, Chris Daniel coming to you from the Endurance Mentality once again. I hope everybody had a good weekend and a Monday morning to follow. I know I did. Had a pretty busy weekend with doing some running on Saturday, and then Sunday my wife and I went for a hike in Chimney Rock State Park up in North Carolina. Had a lot of fun doing that, enjoyed it, got some good exercise. We'll talk a little bit about that in the upcoming video. Stay tuned. In this video, I'd like to talk a little bit about what I've been doing on a typical week, what I did last week, because I kind of considered last week first weeks that I actually started thinking specifically about the 50K as far as the training goes. I know I signed up for it back in early May, but so on a weekly basis, for the past few months, I've had I've made a plan for what I want to do during the week as far as running, cycling, some kind of strength training or whatever. So, usually on Sunday evening or Monday morning, I put together kind of what I want to do for that week. I kind of map it out, and I can change it, change things around if I need to as my week progresses and if things change. But I typically always try to get my runs done in the mornings or whatever my endurance training is for that day. I like to get that done in the morning. If I'm going to do a strength workout on a day, usually I'm going to try to do that strength session in the evening, in the afternoon or evening. And I also try to get one strength session in on a day where I don't run or do endurance training. So my week is typically 6 days of workouts, 5 days of endurance. 4 of those days are typically runs. One of those days will be usually on my bike trainer. The 5th day, and then in there will be one of the days I'll include a strength workout. And then one of the days where I don't do any endurance training, I'll do another strength workout. So typically 2 strength workouts, 4 runs, and 1 workout on the indoor trainer. So that's kind of been what I've done. Just within this past, last week, I've started trying to do a little bit more structure to my training so that I, have a plan for, incrementally getting better or getting, increasing the volume over the next weeks and months to come. I've done training plans in the past, just buy online or whatever. Those are great. I've had good results. I've learned quite a bit from using those. But I've gotten to where I try to, based off of what I've learned off of using those. I'm not a coach or anything like that, but based off of what I learned and how those, workouts go, I've kind of learned how to put, weeks together and the type of training, and it allows me to move things around and kind of customize things to what I need it for. I travel for a living, so I usually work some kind of, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, or, I might be gone for, weeks or months at a time. So it allows me to, move things around if I need to, and then change things back to what I want to be when I'm at home. So it just allows me flexibility. It also allows me to be able to do things, say like my wife and I did this past weekend. On Sunday, we went up to a state park, Chimney Rock State Park. It's about an hour and a half drive from us, and got in a good hike. about 3 miles. It's not very much distance wise, but it was about 1,100 feet of elevation gain in a mile and a half. The majority of the elevation gain was stairs. So, my calves and my quads are pretty sore this morning, or for the past couple of days. I did my first run of the week this morning and a low aerobic zone 2 run. And I was definitely feeling, my legs were feeling weird this morning. They didn't want to move like they normally do. So, okay, so that's been a typical, week. So last week, as far as mileage goes, I got in about 25 and a half miles total. That was 14 miles of running, about 8.5 miles of walking, and then the 3 mile hike that I talked about that we went and did. Moving forward, I'll talk about, kind of how I'm going to structure my weeks. And, this will just kind of lay out the foundation. It'll just show what a typical week will look like. Okay, so we'll start with this week. My weeks, I do Monday to Sunday for training. Right now, I'm using Monday as a recovery day or whatever. I might go on a walk or do something like that, but Monday is my day to reset. Uh, so we'll start with today, Tuesday, which I've done my run this morning. I call it a 150 run. The 150 just indicates that I want to try to stay 150 beats per minute heart rate or under. If I creep over that, you know, for whatever reason because of a heel or something like that, that's okay. But I don't want to get, any more than a few beats or whatever over it, and then, where I can get it back down when I'm back on level ground or going downhill or something. So those are my 150 runs. A lot of my training is in that 150 run category. I do a lot of my running and my bike and everything heart rate based. Uh, I found it to be very effective. You've got to slow yourself down, or I do slow myself down to uh, an almost embarrassing pace, but the pace picks up as you go over time. Yeah, it's something you have to be somewhat patient with, but it's definitely an effective way to train on the low endurance side of things. So moving into Wednesday, it'll be an indoor bike along with a strength session. So I'll get my indoor bike in. This is my day to cross train with that. An hour on the bike, plus a full body strength session. I've got 30 minutes in there, but it takes whatever it takes. Uh, then on Thursday, I've got a zone 4 interval run. This is my harder effort for the week. I do my harder efforts speed based, pace based instead of heart rate. And this is just because the pace is, more immediate, and it lets me get into a zone, whereas heart rate is lagging. I've learned, especially as you get fitter, heart rate will lag. So by the time your heart rate gets up to the zone you're trying to get to, your interval might be over if you're doing shorter intervals. So this, I typically do one hard run session per week. And this week, I'm calling it a zone 4 interval run. Friday will be a strength only day. Again, might get in a walk or something like that. But as far as just training in itself goes, the no runs or bikes or anything like that planned for Friday. An upper body strength session. The reason for the upper body and no lower body is just because I want to try to keep my legs fresh for the weekend. where I'm going to do some longer runs, and those longer runs will over the weeks get to be longer and longer. So on Saturday and Sunday, I have another 150 run, and then also a trail run or a hike, or trail run slash hike, kind of like a run walk type of thing. I'll flip flop these depending on how everything works out for the weekend. Sometimes my wife likes to go out to the trails or whatever with me, and she'll just want to walk or hike, and she'll do whatever she wants to do, and I can do whatever I want to do. But so I can flip flop these either way. I don't mind going and doing a trail run, and then the following day doing my low endurance run or my low aerobic run. The trail runs that I do out here where I go is typically, it's pretty hilly. So, it's, lots of up hills and down hills and stuff. So it's a pretty good spot to train and kind of get the feel of trail running, which is quite a bit different than running on the road if you haven't done it. It's a lot of fun, but as slow as my pace is on the road, it's even slower trail running because you got to pay attention to where you're going, what you're doing, where your feet are going to hit. I bust my ass every time I go. I come back with a busted up knee or a scraped up arm or something. And that's just typical. It's going to happen during the trail races or endurance races or whatever. So, it's just kind of part of the training. So that's this week. If you look over to the right, you'll see, the total duration and then distance. The distance, as far as the planned distance, is not going to show much over here because the majority of my training is time-based. And then there's only one run that I have during the week, which is the trail run that I have, distance-based. And that's just so that I can have a distance in mind that I want to get to and work at getting that. And, like the 5.5 miles or 6 miles or whatever is not that big of a deal is right now. I mean, I can do that plenty, but as I get to where I'm gaining more mileage and more time, where I get into the 10 plus miles and into the 20 miles, I want to have that distance in mind and know that that's where I need to get. So it's just kind of a mental thing. All right, so that'll wrap up this video. That's what a typical week will look like. It'll just get longer, more volume as the weeks go. The only thing I'll kind of change up from time to time is, when I'm out traveling or something and I have to rearrange weeks or something, but every week will typically consist of those types of workouts. The higher intensity workout sometimes will vary from an interval workout to a longer duration of like a tempo workout where I'm in, upper zone 3 or something like that for, a more extended period of time instead of intervals. So that's really the only time that will change. And that's kind of an every other week thing that I vary that on. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, later.